Do you believe that men and women are equal?
I think that they should be equal, but I think that men don't view women and men as equal.
I agree.
So you said you feel like they should be equal, but in reality, are men and women equal?
No.
Men don't view women as equal, but they should be equal.
Well, we're not equal. I mean,
Why?
essentially, as
Do you think that you're better than me?
I don't. See,
Do you think that you're better than me?
Now, one of the things about human beings that's unique is that human females are picky maters. They're choosy. They're also sneaky because you can't tell when they're ovulating, and with many other female animals you know. So they have hidden ovulation and they're choosy, and they tend to choose men who are more successful in the dominance hierarchy. Well, there's a shock. I mean, if you have a choice, why not? If you pick someone who's at the bottom of the competence hierarchy, well, that's probably not going to work out very well for you. And since women bear the burden of reproduction, it's perfectly reasonable for them to search out someone who's going to be helpful. So productive, fair, generous. And you know, when you think of a dominance hierarchy, you might think, well, it's the powerful guy, the aggressive guy, say, that rises to the top of the dominance hierarchy, and that's not true. It's not even true among chimps. Like, you can get a chimp tyrant, but then what happens is other chimps gang up on him and tear him to pieces, and they don't do it nicely. They don't do it nicely. And the chimps that tend to maintain their dominance for long periods of time have a pretty wide network of friends, roughly speaking, with whom they engage in reciprocal interactions like grooming, and they actually pay a lot of positive attention to the female chimps, who have their own hierarchy, by the way, and to their offspring. So they're like baby kissing politicians. And so the idea that it's raw power that produces dominance is it's just wrong. Now, so what this means, think about this for a minute. I mean, this choosy mating thing occurs with lots of species, you know. There's this bird called the bowerbird. You gotta look up bowerbirds, man. Those things are, you just can't even believe they exist. And so the male bowerbird, he makes this really complicated nest that's close to the ground. And he decorates, he makes a little piece of abstract art in the front of his nest. And so then the females come along, they hop on something nearby, and if they're happy with it, well, then things proceed, but if they're not, they fly off to someone else's piece of abstract art. And if a male piece of art is rejected by like 3 females in a row, he gets irritated and brushes it all off with his wing, and then he makes another one. It's like, God. Well, they obviously have a very well developed sense of beauty. It's so cool, you know. And I guess the idea is that the female birds like artistic males, something like that, but if you're thinking about it biologically, maybe it's an indication of intelligence, right? It's a marker of intelligence. You know, and it's certainly the case that female humans prefer creative men. So, and no wonder, of course, we wouldn't be creative if that wasn't the case. So then imagine that there's 2 primary forces of evolutionary selection operating on us, and they're not really the natural world, which is what people always think, like the environment, you know, the animals and the trees and nature. But it isn't nature that selected us. It's 2 other things. Well, partly. It's 2 other things. So one is the dominance hierarchy. The male dominance hierarchy is one of the primary mechanisms of selection. So it's like, women are faced with a hard choice, which guy to go after, right? That's a hard choice. Well, so they do the same thing that people do with the stock market. They outsource the cognitive problem, the computational problem, to the male dominance hierarchy. Then they just let the males sort themselves out, however they're going to, and then they peel from the top. And so what that means is the male dominance hierarchy itself is a selection mechanism, because if you fail at it, then you don't leave any offspring. And so what that means, at least in part, is that we have adapted to be better and better at attaining status in dominance hierarchies over God only knows how long a period of time. And that doesn't mean just power. You know, it might mean cognitive flexibility, because you could imagine dominance hierarchy A, dominance hierarchy B, dominance hierarchy C. Okay, so if you're really successful, you climb up dominance hierarchy A. Right, but B and C, no, if you happen to land in those, you'd just be a failure. So then you could say, The ideal human being is someone who can climb to the top of a dominance hierarchy no matter what the dominance hierarchy is. Right, so we've evolved such that success across the set of possible dominance hierarchies is the target. And I think that's why we have general intelligence. Because general intelligence is a general problem-solving mechanism. And it's a single factor even. Like intelligence is a single factor. It's not divisible, despite what people like Robert Sternberg and Howard Gardner falsely claim. So, and then from the female perspective, females are the next gatekeeper. And that's why they're often Mother Nature. It took me a long time to figure this out. Why the hell is nature feminine in mythological representations? It's it's extraordinarily common. Mother Nature. You don't think of Father Nature, you think of Mother Nature. It's like, why? Well, nature brings forth new forms, so that's feminine, and nature selects. In fact, that's the definition of nature from a Darwinian perspective. Nature is that which selects. Women select their nature. And that's partly why far more men than you might think, like far more, are terrified of women. Because to be rejected as a romantic partner by a woman is to be classified as vaguely acceptable life form. No value in propagating it, though. Right, so it's a major, major rejection.
I never said I was better than you.
You just did.
I said that we're not equal.
Why?
Because I have a penis and you have a vagina.
What does that fucking matter?
That means we're different. Wouldn't you agree?
But why does that make you better than me?
I said we're not equal. I'm not better than you.
But equal means that we're in the same playing field. By you saying that you have a penis, that you're saying that you're better than me.
By me saying I have a penis, I'm saying I have a penis.
Okay, so do you think that you're better than me?
No, I just said I don't think I'm better than you.
So, but do
I
you
just think
that
we're not
equals?
equal. No, we're not.
Why?
Because we like different things and we're different people.